Yep, the new normal is what we will now be talking about, economics of air transport and aircraft manufacturing in the new normal, markets insights from Richard Aboulafia. And those who follow Richard Aboulafia, and I highly recommend his excellent monthly newsletter, will agree with me that Richard not only offers intelligence and insights into the industry we all care so much about, but does so with a twist, with wit and humor, to spice up all those dry stats about yields and production rates and revenue passenger miles. And in his world, an economic recovery can have the shape of a bathtub or the Nike swoosh, and he, on the sidelines, will explain you the differences between a black swan and a gray rhino and which one you should worry more about. All, of course, on top of important answers, crucial answers for our industry, such as what will really happen to our industry if the Chinese stop buying aircraft from Airbus and Boeing. Welcome, Richard. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Richard. It's great to be here. Although, of course, I've been spending the whole year looking forward to this meeting in Berlin, one of my favorite cities. So it's a bit of a disappointment to not be together with all of the aviation professionals that have come for this conference. My deep sadness for that. But until probably sometime next year, as your previous presenter said, I guess this is what we'll have to put up with. So thanks for the glowing introduction. It's my privilege to walk you through a few of the economic drivers and changes associated with, I suppose, the new normal. Hopefully it won't be normal for too long, but I'm afraid for the next couple of years, it will be the case.
So it looks like we lost Richard Aboulafia, and we will work on getting the connection back and hoping that we can present some of the insights as soon as possible. While we do that, let's look forward to whom else we have lined up for you. We will have Guillaume Faury from Airbus, the CEO, and Sir Michael Arthur from Boeing. One, of course, of many highlights that we're looking forward today to discuss, well, the supplier industry probably is most worried about production rate. For Boeing, I guess it's a day being here in Europe where they can be cheerful after we just heard that the EASA is officially starting the formal process to get the Boeing 737 MAX recertified. I'm hearing we have Richard Aboulafia back, so let's see if we can pick it up where we left it.
Hello, I think I'm back, at least I hope I'm back. My apologies for that. You can see by this slide here the importance of the jetliner manufacturing segment to the world's aviation industry. In last year, as you can see from the bottom left, there was about $179 billion in industry output, and single-aisle and twin-aisle jetliners were well over half of that. So a very considerable 100 billion plus. And we went into this business in a bit of a difficult position because, of course, of the 737 MAX crisis. A lot of the suppliers, and of course, Boeing itself, saw numbers drop in 2019. And that was a function of the MAX being removed from service and being removed from production. Every other segment of the industry was healthy. And also, well, the actual strength of the jetliner business was very strong too. It was strictly the technical problems associated with the MAX rather than anything else. Now, here's where we are in terms of the crisis we face. And very simply, I have never seen numbers like this. You know, as Richard said before, we've got the Nike swoosh, we've got the bathtub, we've got the U. This is simply a cliff dive. You know, I started my career in aviation back in the 1980s, and whenever there was a bad year, say like 1990 or 2008 or 2001, at the end of the year, we would see numbers fall by maybe 2% year over year in terms of air traffic, What we have here is RPKs, revenue passenger kilometers. This year, our friends at IATA tell us that we will fall 66%. This is indicative of an economy that is effectively, as one economist put it, we are in a medically induced coma. There's never been any number like this in the history of aviation. The only thing I can tell you is that it's my belief, and I think the belief of many of my peers, that when we get a vaccine and effective testing and whatever else, and border closures end and whatever else, then we will have an extremely fast and strong comeback. It's my belief that we will get back to the 2019 air traffic peak in late 2023, at the very latest, in my view. However, until then, the aviation industry is going to face challenges like it has never seen before. Now, for my next slide, I'd like to talk a bit about China and the important role it plays in the recovery of the aircraft industry. If you look at the rise of China as a global aircraft market over the past 20 years, you can see they went from just 2% of demand to 23% of demand at their peak in 2018. That's, of course, the function of China transforming itself from a poor economy to a very, very prosperous one. And of course, air traffic growth in the 12 to 15% range. However, there are some issues in China, both in terms of the development of their national air transport capabilities and from the standpoint of their relations with the West. If you look at air travel growth in China, it fell from 12% in late 2018 to just 5% in late 2019. And you can see, accordingly, there was a very significant drop in the number of jets they took. That is profoundly important because we need them to come back at the same pace that they had, well, previously recovered from shocks, in order to ensure a prosperous recovery in jetliner production. Right now, I'm very happy to report that China is leading the way. If you look at air travel growth, they're almost back to where they were at the start of the year. Still a few concerns. Probably the biggest is the strained political relations between China and the West. But right now, indigenous Chinese platforms aren't capable of doing the job just yet. So for the next few years at least, they're going to be dependent upon Airbus and Boeing. And hopefully they'll resume taking jets at the pace they had been taking, and we'll see some good numbers for them. But it is a significant risk moving forward. Now, predictably, given those terrible air traffic numbers, the book-to-bill ratio, the ratio between orders received and deliveries from Airbus and Boeing, have effectively collapsed. You can see some truly terrible numbers. We're probably going to see about -800 orders net this year. That's, of course, the worst we've seen. Again, the chart going back many decades. The good news is we still have a very considerable backlog at Airbus and Boeing. The bad news is that a lot of that backlog has chosen to defer for the simple reason that nobody is flying. So these are very difficult numbers as well. Now, in terms of what we are expecting moving forward, I'd like you to have a look, please, at our air transport industrial outlook, which goes back 15 years and forward 10 years. And a couple of things to bring to your attention. Regionals are at the bottom there. Most of the market consists of single aisles, like the ones built in Hamburg, and twin aisles, of course, like the ones built in Toulouse and Everett, Washington. There is one important shift underway, and that is an airline preference for smaller single-aisle jets. You can really see this in the numbers. As a matter of fact, we don't have the twin-aisle market getting back to where it was for the duration of our forecast period. On the positive side, we have a very strong comeback in single-aisle markets, and there's three reasons for that. One is that domestic traffic or intra-European traffic is going to recover a lot faster than international traffic because of border closures and customer skittishness. The second factor is we have a serious overcapacity situation. Just an enormous number of twin aisles have been built over the past decade. And then finally, there's just an airline preference for smaller planes to connect international points. One of my favorite flights in a single aisle jet, and I believe it's still current, is Newark to Berlin in a single aisle jet. I've taken that on a number of occasions, and I hope to take it again soon. Now, one interesting aspect of that large single aisle market, the A321 market, is that it is heavily favoring Airbus. This is Airbus's strongest position. Look in that middle there, 200-seat single aisles, that is all A321neos versus the 737 MAX 9 and 10. Airbus has an enormous advantage in that segment. The biggest question we face in this industry is what and when will Boeing do with that segment, and when will it do it? Basically, they need a response to the A321, and if they don't create one, well, then Airbus has an enormous advantage moving forward. As a matter of fact, we think it could give them 10 additional points in market share. Now, for my final chart, I'd like to show you our aircraft manufacturing outlook chart for the entire world, and this one goes back 30 years and forward 10 years. At the bottom, you've got our military output line. The military market, the military part of the business remains very healthy and strong. We haven't adjusted those numbers from January. However, look at the top. That red line was what we were expecting in January. We were expecting a strong year for jetliner output, particularly as the 737 MAX returns to service this year and next year. Instead, what we are getting as of November, as of now, is that terrible green spike. This unpleasant market fall off is going to be the worst challenge faced by this industry since the dawn of the jet age. And it's going to tax financiers, it's going to tax governments. Everyone is going to have to make an effort to get through the next very difficult 3 years. Again, I'm extremely confident that air travel will resume with the vaccine and that aircraft demand will increase very quickly. You're going to see some strong growth rates in, say, 2023 in manufacturing. But until then, we are going into a very difficult couple of years. But hopefully the mood will change when the vaccine happens and we begin to start to discuss that upward ride. And I hope we're all together at Paris and Berlin, maybe next year, to discuss the scope of the recovery. Until then, let's all get through this together. Stay safe. Thanks so much for listening to me.
Thank you for your insights, and I hope your presentation slides will be available, because I, as a journalist, I always catch myself at these events taking out my smartphone and trying to take a picture of my screen because I find them so fascinating. But I understand you will be available at our meet and greet later to interested people with more questions, so maybe you can make them available there. For now, Richard Aboulafia of the Teal Group, thank you very much for your thoughts and insights.